Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is July 1st. So first, for my Canadian viewers, happy Canada Day. It's our birthday. And I am also, you will notice, wearing orange. That is an acknowledgement of the injustices simply done to our Indigenous First Nations people. So this particular Canada Day is bittersweet because it seems like every 2 days there are more and more of these mass graves being sort of found. And you know, I guess it's one thing to know kind of in an abstract way that that a community was not treated well or treated right. It's quite another when the evidence just keeps slapping you in the face. So I just wanted to put that out there. If all of you who are inclined could send some love, some light, some healing energy, that would be good. So speaking of healing energy, it's been quite the day in the United States. You have Weisselberg being charged with, I think it was 15 counts, including like grand larceny and tax evasion and all kinds of stuff. And of course, the Trump Corporation was also charged with kind of similar wrongdoings. So it's going to be interesting to see how that sort of unfolds. And I am going to take a look at that with my cards and my little handy dandy pendulum. I also want to take a look today at a ruling that came down from the Supreme Court, which, you know, for people who are really trying to fight that hard battle of getting those voting rights in the United States, you know, fair and balanced and inclusive, it feels like a little bit of a backslide, a loss. So I want to take a look at that too, because, you know, as I was watching that ruling coming down, I was thinking, well, what the heck is Joe going to do now? And sort of the impression I got was that part of the reason he didn't do anything right away, although I do believe he set up a commission to figure out how to sort of sort out the incredible imbalance in the court right now. But the reason there wasn't the sort of hot to it, I think, was because it felt to me as if they were just waiting to kind of let this session, if you will, I don't even know what they're called, kind of wrap up and kind of see what rulings were handed down. I don't even think they're called rulings. I think they're called something else. But anyways, opinions. So we're going to take a look at that too, because, you know, it is a concern. You know, I think that for those of us living in Canada, I think to some ways we're a little confused by it, because some of the things that are standard here seem to be something in the United States that so many people are pushing against. So, you know, you have to have proper ID when you vote in Canada. You have to go to the right polling station. You know, and in Canada, for those who maybe don't drive and don't have a driver's license, etc., the government of Canada issues a identification card, kind of like a driver's license, except you can't drive with it. You know, so there's ways around it that, to my mind anyway, seem sort of simple, and yet it just has become so politicized and so sad, frankly. So I don't know a whole lot about U.S. voting because I'm Canadian, so I'm not going to expound on it and pontificate. Sometimes it confuses me why sort of some of the most obvious solutions don't seem to be able to work. All right, so I want to start, and the other thing I want to take a look at while I'm looking at the Supreme Court is there is some talk about Judge Breyer, retiring. Now, unless I'm really wrong, he is on the sort of liberal side. So what that would do is that would free up a liberal to bring in another liberal, just one who was younger. So there really is a bit of an imbalance right now, and they really got to figure out how they're going to get that thing balanced, pretty much without creating a whole lot of strife. So actually, you know what, let's start with the courts, and then we're going to move on to the whole Weisselberg-Trump indictment situation. So where's my pendulum? Okay, so let's start here. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, at the end of this video, we're going to do the pet parade, okay? It's just easier sort of if we do it at the end, because there's going to be a lot of sort of stopping the video and starting it again as I switch up animals. Okay, so pendulum. I want to talk about the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, the big one. Is Justice Breyer, I think that's his name, is he likely to announce his retirement before the next session starts? Okay, so I'm getting a pretty darn emphatic yes. Okay. Are there going to be some concrete actions taken to rebalance the courts? Okay, that's a yes. Is the Biden administration understanding that they really do have a limited amount of time to get this done? Yes. Because, of course, there is an awareness that if they drag their feet on this and it slides into the second term, things could get very dicey that way. Now, I energetically have said that I think the Democrats are going to do quite well in the second term. In fact, they're probably going to be in a stronger position then than they are now. But it's early days yet, and you certainly don't count on something like that. Okay, so right now there are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. Can we anticipate that number increasing to 11? All right, now, unless I miss my mark, that would still leave 5 conservative judges and then 4 more liberal judges. I don't want details. I don't want to know how this may or may not happen. Are the 6 justices who are currently considered conservative justices, are all 6 of those justices going to still be sitting on the bench by the end of the year 2021? And that's a no. All right. Let's take a look and see what we can find out. Because, I have a question. I surely do. Come on down. Okay, so Supreme Court trajectory. I want to see what is likely to happen in the next 6, 12, 18 months. Okay. So, honestly, these are pretty darn good cards. There are going to be periods of time, and perhaps even now, where it really does feel like, people's hands are tied. And they're not. But there's sort of that sense that, the conservative fraction is really sort of ruling the roost. And in a way that is so partisan, so political, that it kind of makes you scratch your head. I mean, that ruling that came down today, one of the statements that Alito was making was that this ruling, one of the things that it's very important that states are able to do is, ensure that there is no election fraud, because that can, influence the outcome of an election. Well, excuse me, nobody can find election fraud. So what the heck is he talking about? But there's definitely that sense that this is still going to be a bit of an uphill battle. This isn't going to be a matter of, okay, well, let's just find some judges and get them on the Supreme Court and get this thing sorted out. It's not going to be quite that simple, because, the reality is, if that solution ends up looking very, very political, somewhere down the line, you're going to end up with 43 Supreme Court justices, because people will just keep stacking the court. But it definitely looks like the government is aware, and it also looks like there are some very, very clever minds that are working on this. You've got both the Queen and the King of Wands here, and this to me is about communications, it's about ideas, it's about putting together strategies. It is about finding solutions that are within the framework, as they should be. The government is going to move forward on this. It really is. And you know what? There are going to be disappointments. I think that you're going to see maybe perhaps a couple of really difficult confirmation hearings, not because the people are not, a good fit, but simply because the Republicans are going to be the Republicans. But they're going to move forward. This is a situation that really, really needs to get balanced, because, in many ways, your entire democracy sort of depends on really apolitical decisions being made in the Supreme Court. And it just feels that lately, maybe they're not quite as, unbiased as they could be. I think the other thing that I just, energetically, it feels as if the Supreme Court, particularly conservative justices, are very, very intent on kind of following the letter of the law as it was originally intended. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. But it was more than 200 years ago, people. Times have changed, and it seems to me that there is a component to the U.S. Supreme Court where they really are not almost in touch with the way society is evolving and growing. And so, wow, I'm often talking about those old dinosaurs who just will not, shuffle along. And it feels like there are some of those really old dinosaur attitudes in the courts, and worse, some of them are coming from very young people. And so that's a problem, because they're going to be on the courts for conceivably quite a while. Okay, so yeah, this is the thing. Not surprisingly, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are going to be donkeys behind about their behavior, okay? They're going to put up as many restrictions as they can. They're going to be, aggressive. They're going to be doing everything they can, to throw a wrench into the works. But ultimately, it feels very, very much as if the highest good is likely to emerge. So energetically, I just received another message. Yeah. Okay. So you've got the Emperor and the Hierophant following each other, for goodness sakes. What I just heard was, day by day, Joe Biden gains more and more clarity about what is actually doable versus what he hoped would be doable. And he is not, I think, maybe as reluctant to move forward in a more aggressive way than maybe perhaps some people think he is. But because it's Joe Biden, he's going to move forward in a way that is classy, correct, and not bombastic, because really that's all the Republicans have in their toolkit these days, is just being bombastic liars. I don't know if you've heard the latest, but apparently Kevin McCarthy has reached out to Devin Nunes to investigate Tucker Carlson's claims that the NSA is spying on him. That is a plot line that would not fly in any novel. It wouldn't fly in a movie, and it wouldn't fly in a TV show, but apparently in the Republican Party, it's going to fly. And so you can expect that they are going to continue to get crazier and crazier. Why? Because they are more and more frightened. They're just simply more and more frightened. And, they're not prepared to do any of the hard work at all. They're not prepared to look for their own spines. They're not prepared to try to heal the Republican Party. They are not interested. They don't want to. Trump set up a sort of a precedent where if you just continued to deny and ignore, you couldn't be shamed. And so, this is a group of politicians who, you can play them a clip of something they literally said a day ago, a week ago, a month ago, and they almost look you in the face as if to say, well, you're lying. Don't believe what you hear, don't believe what you see, only believe what I'm telling you is the truth. And so you have a party that is going to continue to fall down that slippery slope. And for anybody who is expecting any other behavior, you are going to be disappointed. It is truly as if they are going to absolutely need to implode on themselves. They are going to need to hit rock bottom. And one can only hope that the midterms is part of them hitting rock bottom. Okay, so as of right now, it doesn't look as if all is lost. It doesn't look as if this is not going to be fixable, okay? But I am suggesting that it's going to be some work, okay? It's not going to be quite as easy as, okay, well, we're just going to add some justices and call it a day. And, it does not help that the Senate is so evenly sort of balanced. I mean, they are operating with the thinnest of majorities. And so that also is a problem, right? Because you really don't have any wiggle room. I mean, all you need is a Joe Manson or a Kristen Cinema, and, everything gets kind of all screwed up, right? So, I guess that's what midterms are for, right? Okay, let's take a look at the Trump org. Let's take a look at Weisselberg. And let's take a look at how the King of Mar-a-Lago is doing. So let's just check out some things with the pendulum first, okay? So, does Weisselberg still believe that Donald Trump will protect him no matter what? That's a yes. If Weisselberg feels that any of his children are going to be implicated or in legal jeopardy, at that point, is he likely to seriously consider flipping? Yes. Are these indictments against the Trump org likely to really land a bit of a crippling blow to the organization? Is it safe to say that this is a blow that the organization, the group of companies, is really not going to be able to recover from? Yeah, they are not going to be able to pull back out of this. Are there additional indictments coming? Yes. Are they currently working on indictments connected to Donald Trump and his, his children? Yes. Is Alan Weisselberg going to be found, if he takes this to court, if he doesn't flip and takes it to court, is he going to be found guilty? Yes. Is the indictments that were handed down today, are they sort of the beginning as opposed to the end place? So is this the beginning? Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's see what the cards would like to tell us about that. I have a question, and my question is, tell me about, please. Trump, Weisselberg indictments. Trump, Weisselberg indictments. Trump, Weisselberg indictments. I have to tell you that energetically, as I look at Trump, there's a lot of blustering and bravado going on the outside, but he is a quivering mess on the inside. See, this is the thing about him, right, is he knows what a dirty dog he is. And so, he's pretty aware of some of the stuff that can be out there that is going to be found. The strength is with the government, literally. The strength of this situation, the indictments moving forward, the power is with the government agencies. It is with the law. And they are at this point riding towards a victory. Okay? There are some partnerships that are going to become incredibly strained. It's a hard thing when for Alan, because he is not only fighting his own corrupt behavior, but he was also instrumental in the corrupt behavior of the company. And so this is not, he can't sort of pass this on to somebody else. And frankly, because Trump is known as a micromanager, he can't either. I mean, he's going to try, but yeah, there is so much more information to come out in terms of finances, things that were hidden, things that were not disclosed properly, taxes that were avoided, taxes that were never paid. And, the reality is that Donald Trump likes to say he's been under audit for like the last 100 years, but he really hasn't. And so in some ways, as every year went by and the company kind of got away with, they became more and more bold. And, this is the thing, right? They're talking about over a period of 15 years. That's not an oops, I forgot to mention that. Okay. And I would be curious to know if it's not actually like the statute of limitations ends at 15 years, because I'm sorry, this has been going on for 20 years, for 30 years, for 40 years, for 50 years. Donald Trump is 70, 60, and 70 years under Fred. It's like how the family functions. That arrogant entitlement. These cases are going to roll forward, and they are going to create endings for people and perhaps the corporation. There's going to be endings coming, okay? Because they have the goods. I mean, I think that's, keep that clear in your head. They have the goods. This is not, I got to tell you, energetically, it doesn't feel as, yes, they want Weisselberg to flip, make no mistake, but it doesn't feel as if they are clueless without his input, okay? It feels like they have a lot of information, and it may be in some cases they almost need to go at confirming it or proving it from a different source in a different way, but this is not a flimsy case. This is not sort of something that's going to, blow apart in a strong wind. It's not. There is just a really strong need for that kind of corruption, particularly when it is so in your face and blatant, when it is so, you can't touch me because I'm just special, that really, really gets addressed. And this is the thing, there's been some reluctance, they don't want to, I've said this before, they don't want to sort of set these precedents where, you have a president, he wasn't well liked, he didn't do what you wanted, and so he leaves office and you sue him. Because, that's, I think, what you call a banana republic, right? Isn't that what happens is they end up getting charged and they go to jail and then the new dictator steps in and whatever. So they're being very careful to kind of not set a precedent where that becomes acceptable behavior. However, what is going on here is so egregious, and frankly, it has been going on for so much longer than the 4 years, the king was in office. So definitely, there are strategies that are being worked at, that are being looked at in order to try to figure out how to bring this, together, and how to bring together, I guess, those people who were most aware, who most participated in that corruption. Now, I haven't heard anything lately about calamari, but I have a funny feeling that he may be doing a little bit more talking um, right now than we're hearing about. But it definitely feels like Weisselberg is going to have some really, really serious thinking to do. I think when he waltzed in there this morning to surrender himself, I don't think that he believed that there were going to be quite so many charges, and I don't think he believed that they were going to expand, in all these different areas. And so I think right now there is a lot of low grade panic going on about how do we actually move forward from this? How do we address this? And, I have to tell you that head honcho, man baby, is like kind of out of control. Okay, he's nervous, he's scared, he's worried, and he's unhinged. So, in my humble opinion, and so it feels like, not only do they have a really difficult situation that they're trying to contend with, but frankly, they're also trying to contend with keeping this other one calm and, from getting out there and saying stuff that is incredibly stupid and damning. So there's a lot going on, and what you've got is you've just got juvenile behavior, And he's not likely to tone it down, unfortunately. He's going to come out and he's going to say the most ridiculous things. But the reality is that it's really not going to get listened to. And moving forward, there's really going to be a lot of black and white. So this is the thing, right? This is paper, this is documents, this is numbers. This is not, my impression was, or I believed this. 2 and 2 still makes 4. All right, so it looks like, frankly, in both areas, there are going to need to be a lot of hard work done, a lot of reconfigurating, retabulating, but neither situation looks as if it is going to end up not ultimately working out in a way that is beneficial to those who just are going to end up being on the right side of history. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. I just love when you are able to join me. Keep the thumbs up going, the new subscribers. Hello, thank you so much. Welcome to the Soulprint family. I love your comments. I read all of them. And that's what I know. So I'm just going to put this on pause and I'm going to come back and there's just going to be a stream of animals, if you will. I'm going to go see which one I can grab first. I'll be right back. So this is Tika. Now, Tika is on her way, I think, to her 18th birthday. For those of you who have been viewers for my channel for a long time, you know that we lost her brother Skittles at the beginning of April, really suddenly. He had a massive tumor in his heart, and it just sort of like stopped him. We always said, though, that if Tika went first, Skittles would be devastated. If Skittles went first, Tika would survive. And, she is. She's thriving. And she's doing okay. And frankly, she kind of likes the fact that she doesn't have to share treats. Well, it's true, little girl. All right. Hang on here. Hold on. She's tangled up in my cords. Oh, whoa. I'm sorry. There. Okay. Now, this little girl, her name is Twyla. Twyla is somewhere around 7 months. She's my daughter Vanessa's kitty cat. We are just thrilled with her. She's finally made it up to 6.5 pounds. She is, as I said, about 7 months old, and she's just a little bit of a thing. And she's very fearless. The higher the furniture or the cupboards, that's where you're likely to find her. She knows no limits, and she knows no boundaries. But she's awful cute. All right. Now, Atticus has gone to live with Victoria. Atticus is obviously very strong. He is a rescue. Both of the kids rescue, him and Earth, both really only have 2 functional paws. Jerry's adorable. He's a long-haired kitty cat. He just is. Could you like please say hi? There we go. He's just cautious about everything in the world, and but he knows he's loved, and he knows he's well cared for. And he has really liked being here for the last couple of days because we have a lot of hiding places in our house, and he kind of likes that. Okay. You just want to stick your head up one more time and say goodbye. Not really. Don't forget. All right. Nova, quit being a goof. All right, this is Nova. This is my little boy. He is now about 9 months. Okay. Yes, he's gotten bigger, but he's actually still not a big cat. You'll have to excuse him because he's filthy, because it's been really hot out here, and he found this little pile of dirt, and he has just been having a party. He loves to be outside. He never leaves the yard, but he likes to chase the bugs. And we've had a lot of blue dragonflies, and he's just been having a party chasing them. Now, I'm very quickly going to tell you the story about when we first moved into this house. And this little monkey got outside, and we have a tree right at the back of our house. Good boy. And he climbed it. It's the first time he ever climbed a tree. Somehow he ended up on the roof. So there was my daughter, my sister, and I trying to convince this cat to come down off of the roof. Now, most of you know that there's a pond right outside my backyard and geese. I'm not even exaggerating. By the time we got the cat down, there were 6 geese lined up like this, watching the crazy. So that was our sort of, hey neighbors, we've moved in. And here he comes. So Jerry, again, is my daughter Victoria's cat. He also has 3 paws. He's a rock star. He has no questions about it. Everybody loves Jerry. And Jerry loves everybody else. And I don't know how osmosis or something, but every time he makes an appearance, and then there's all these comments talking about how amazing he is. I don't know. He seems to know, because the ego just picks right up, doesn't it? Jerry, say hi to everybody. Could you try better? There we go. So there's Jerry, the rock star. I've lost track of how old he is. Atticus, I think, is heading towards 2. And we think he's like 6 or 7. We keep saying he's 5, but right? There we go. Okay. I have to go dehair myself now. I hope you've enjoyed our little pet parade. It keeps us busy. Frankly, we're looking forward to it cooling down a little bit so Jerry and Atticus can head back to their home. But it's always fun to have them here. So you have now seen, I guess, the summer 2021 version of Pet Parade. For my American subscribers and viewers, have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July. And we will see you next week. Until then, take care, be well, and celebrate safely. Bye-bye. Come on, little thing, stop.